Hello everyone and welcome to the biology lecture series, and today we'll be discussing the topic reproductive health. So this lecture is a continuation of the previous lecture. So what we were discussing in the previous lecture, we were discussing about the reproductive health and how can we attain the reproductive health. Okay, what are the various programs, governmental and non-governmental, that have been implemented to attain this reproductive health. Okay, and what should we do to attain this reproductive health? So we should spread the awareness. We were talking about that the awareness should be spread in the couples. Okay, awareness should be spread regarding the family planning. Awareness should be spread regarding the prenatal and the postnatal care. Then the better infrastructure should be provided, like clinics and hospital. The healthcare system should be good, and professional people should be employed that can spread the information or they can advise regarding the reproduction related issues such as pregnancy, abortion, infertility, abnormalities during the menstruation. Clear? Then facilities should be provided such as contraceptives should be available. Then certain medicines should be available. Information should also be given regarding the contraceptives, which helps to prevent the pregnancy. Okay, so how can we define reproductive health? So simply, in simple terms, in simple words, we can define reproductive health as when the you can say the reproductive organs are healthy and they are performing normal functions. So this is how we can define reproductively healthy individual. Then we also discussed that reproductive health it includes four aspects. First is the physical, second is the emotional, third is the social, and fourth is the behavioral. Clear? So how can we define reproductive health? Again, let's have a look at this. Reproductive health. So you can say it is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. In social well-being, in all the matters related to what? Reproductive system. So this is the complete definition of the reproductive health. Now let's start with this lecture. Now in the last century, on all-round development in various fields significantly improved the quality of the life of the people. So what is happening? The living conditions are being better. So there are better living conditions. So better, you can say the healthcare system has improved now. Better medical equipments are available. Okay, and the overall living conditions have increased. So what does this do? This will lead to the decline in the mortality rate. And because of this, there is a explosion. There is population explosion. So in the last century, an all-round development in various fields significantly improved the quality of their life. And you must have seen there's a lot of research going in the field of developing the vaccines. So these vaccines, they provide immunity against various pathogens. For example, polio vaccine. So polio has been eradicated. There are lots of vaccines that are being developed. There are a lot of research is going on. So this help to improve the living conditions. And as the living conditions are improving, and because of that, what is happening? There is a decrease in the death rate. Mortality rate means there is a decrease in the death rate. and this has had an explosive impact on the growth of the population. So there is a population, you can say, explosion now. India is the most populated country in the world now after China. Earlier, China was the most populated country. Clear? Now, the world population, which was around 2 billion in 1900, it rocketed to about 6 billion by 2000 and 7.2 billion in the year 2011. So, see, you can see the population is rising. There is an increase in the birth rate also, and there is a decrease in the death rate. Okay. Now, a similar trend was observed in India too. Now, our population, which was approximately 350 million at the time of our independence, reached close to 1 billion mark by 2000 and crossed 1.2 billion in May of year 2011. So again, you can see there is a population expansion. The population is increasing day by day. Okay. And India, there is one more fact also. The birth rate is highest in India, again after China. Now, a rapid decline in the death rate means mortality rate as well as maternal mortality rate, okay, and infant mortality rate as well as increase in the number of people in the reproducing age are probable reason for this. So, how can we find the maternal mortality rate? So, it is the number of maternal deaths per 1 lakh live birth. So, how can you define maternal mortality rate? Maternal is a term related to the mother. So, maternal mortality rate, it is the number of maternal death. Okay, number of maternal death per 1 lakh live births. And what does this number indicate? What does this maternal mortality rate indicate? This indicates the condition of the healthcare system, okay, and maternal health services. So, this indicates the condition of the healthcare system. Healthcare system condition, okay, and maternal health services. So, a lot of the mothers, they die during the pregnancy because the care is not taken, and mothers, they also die after giving the birth to the child. So, we have talked about this in the previous lecture. Information should be spread, okay, regarding the prenatal as well as the postnatal care of the mother as well as the child. So, during the pregnancy, the mother should be given proper nutrition, and care of the mother should be taken. Proper medicines should be given to the mother. Clear? So, this will help to reduce the maternal mortality rate. And the postnatal care should also be given. Postnatal care means after giving the birth to the child. Clear? So, a lot of the mothers, they die after the childbirth also, and the fetus. The fetal death is also very prominent. So, fetus, especially which are below the age of 1 year, so these are known as infants. So, these infants, they also die. This is known as infant mortality rate. Now, let's discuss about the infant mortality rate. So, what is this? This is the death of the infants, okay, below the age of 1 year. Death of the infant actually below the age of 1 year. Here, deaths of the infant per 1,000 live births. Okay, at a given time. Okay, at a given time and population. So at a given time and in a given population. So a decline in the death rate, maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate, as well as increase in the number of people in the reproducible age. So more the people in the reproducible age, more will be the offerings produced, more children will be produced, more progeny will be produced. So these are the probable reasons for the population expansion. Now through the reproductive and child care program, so this reproductive and child care program, though we could bring down the population growth rate, it was only marginal. So through this program, the growth rate was brought down, but a marginal decrease in the population growth rate was observed. Clear? So this population growth, this is measured annually. Clear? And what was the reproductive and child care program? So what was the focus of this reproductive and child care program? So focus was to maintain the mother as well as the mother's health as well as the health of the child through various incentives such as family planning. So a lot of initiatives were taken. How the health of the mother and the child was taken care of by several initiatives such as family planning, vaccination, okay, and educating people, spreading awareness regarding the reproductive related issues. All right. Now, according to 2011 census report, the population growth rate was less than 2%. That is 20 per thousand per year, a rate at which our population could increase rapidly. So population growth rate, this is measured annually in year, okay, in 1 year. Now such an alarming growth rate could lead to an absolute scarcity of even the basic requirements, that is food, shelter and clothing, in spite of significant progress made in those areas. Clear? So population is increasing, there is a population expansion. And what is happening? The basic resources are limited. So the parents, they are not able to fulfill even the basic requirements of the children. That is the food, shelter, and the clothing. Clear? So such an alarming population growth rate could lead to absolute scarcity of the basic requirements even. Because obviously these resources are limited only. Now, therefore, the government was forced to take up serious measures to check this population growth rate. So a lot of measures were taken, a lot of action plans and programs were initiated to check the population growth rate. And the information was also spread regarding the use of contraceptives to control the birth rate. And the most important step to overcome this problem is to motivate smaller families by using various contraceptive methods. Okay, so one of the most important step was to overcome this population growth expansion was to motivate the couples to go for the smaller families. The smaller family is the happily family. All the basic requirements of the children can be fulfilled by the parents. So this smaller family can be achieved by family planning. And what does this family planning means? Family planning means you can uh, maintain a gap between the children's. Clear? And this gap can be maintained by preventing pregnancy, by deliberately preventing the pregnancy and the conception. And this can be achieved through various contraceptive methods. There are a lot of contraceptives that are available in the market and they are easily accessible. We'll talk about this also in upcoming slides. What are the various type of contraceptives that can be used to prevent the pregnancy, and this can be used to maintain the smaller families. So this can be used in family planning also. Now you must have seen advertisements in the media as well as the posters and the bills, etc., showing a happy couple with two children with the slogan Hum Do Hamare Do, that is we too and our too. So smaller families are encouraged now. Family planning is encouraged now. Okay, through family planning, smaller family can be achieved. Okay, so you must have seen the advertisement in the TV. Okay, or you must have seen the posters or the bills saying that, okay, Hum Do and Hamare Do means you should have. So they are encouraging people, government is encouraging people to have small families. Now, many couples, mostly the young, urban, and working ones, have even adopted one child norm. So the younger generations, okay, the people living in urban areas and the couples which are both of them are working, male and the female both are working, so they are adopting one child norms, means only one child, whether it is male or female. Okay, so they're going for the small families now. So mentality is changing now. Now, statutory raising of the marriageable age of the female to 18 years and that of males to 21 years and incentives given to the couples with small families are two of the other measures taken to tackle this problem. Now, the marriageable age for female is 18 years now and for male it is 21 years. So, obviously, increasing the marriageable age will lead to the decline in the birth rate. Okay, and certain incentives are also given to these couples which are adopting these small families. And what does this incentive include? So financial aid is given to them. Okay, this financial aid is given. Then better healthcare facilities are given. So these are some of the incentives that are given to the couples with small families. Okay, this is clear. Now, let us discuss some of the commonly used contraceptive methods which help prevent the unwanted pregnancies. Now, an ideal contraceptive should be user friendly. So, these are the characteristics of the ideal contraceptives. They should be user friendly, easily available, effective, and reversible with no or at least or least side effects. So, these contraceptives should be user friendly, means it can be used by the individual itself. It doesn't need any other person, the help of the any other person. Okay, and then these should be easily available in the market, so they should be easily accessible. Now they should be effective also in controlling the birth rate, in preventing the pregnancy and the conception, and they should be reversible. So these contraceptives should be reversible, means they should prevent the pregnancy, okay, while retaining the ability to conceive. So what are reversible contraceptive? So these reversible contraceptive, when they are removed or when the female or the male they are not using these contraceptives, then the females can again they can conceive. So how can we define reversible contraceptives? So these reversible contraceptives, they prevent the pregnancy in the females, but it maintains the ability to conceive. Okay, and these contraceptives, they should have no or they should have least side effects. Clear? Now let's move on. Now it also should in no way interfere with the sexual desire of the person, okay, or desire or the act or the sexual act of the user. So these contraceptives, they should not at all interfere with the sexual desire, sexual urge of the individuals that are using these contraceptives, and they should also not interfere with the sexual act of the user. Clear? Now, a wide range of contraceptive methods are presently available, which could be broadly grouped into the following categories. So these contraceptives methods have been grouped into various categories. What are these categories? So one are natural and traditional contraceptives. Okay. Another one are the barrier contraceptives. IUDs, intrauterine devices. Oral contraceptives are there available in the market that you can take by mouth. Injectables, so you can inject these contraceptives. So these injections, these consist of the hormones. Okay. Then implants also consist of the hormones. Then last one is the surgical methods like vasectomy and tubectomy. We'll discuss about these in the upcoming slides. So these are the various categories in which the contraceptive methods has been divided. We'll discuss each of this in detail now. Now first let's talk about the natural methods. So they work on the principle of avoiding the chance of ovum and the sperm meeting. So for successful fertilization, both the gametes, mean the male gamete, which is the sperm, and the female gamete, which is the ovum, they should be present simultaneously in the ampulla region of the fallopian tube. Then only the fertilization will take place. So these natural methods or traditional methods, they avoid the chances of the ovum and the sperm of meeting. So what happens here? First natural method is the periodic abstinence. So what happens? This periodic abstinence is one such method in which the couples avoid or abstain from the coitus from day 10 to day 17 of the menstrual cycle when ovulation could be expected. So what is happening here? The female can track the menstrual cycle. So female knows, okay, about the menstrual cycle, when the ovulation will occur. So menstrual cycle is for 28 days. The female can track, okay, at the mid of the menstrual cycle, means at around 14 days, there will be ovulation. So at that time, the sexual intercourse can be avoided. So from day 10 to day 17 of the menstrual cycle, during this period, which is known as the fertile period. So during this period, ovulation will occur. So if you avoid the sexual intercourse during this fertile period, then the chances to conceive or chances to get pregnant will be very less. Okay, so sexual intercourse can be done in the other days apart from these days of the menstrual cycle, day 10 to day 17, which is known as the fertile period. Clear? So this is known as periodic abstinence. So this is the natural family planning. This comes under the natural family planning. Okay, now as the chances of fertilization very high during the fertile period, so couples should avoid the coitus regarding this period. Okay, and they can prevent the conception or prevent the pregnancy. So this will also lead to the birth control. Therefore, by abstaining from coitus during this period, conception could be easily prevented. The next one is the next method, withdrawal or coitus interruptus. Okay, so this is another method in which the male partner withdraws his penis from the vagina just before the ejaculation so as to avoid the insemination. What is insemination? Transfer of the sperm into the female genital tract. And penis is involved in this. So penis consists of the special kind of tissues that can erect, and this erection is very important for the transfer of the semen into the female genital tract, and this semen consists of the sperms. Okay, so what is insemination? It is the transfer of the sperms which are present in the semen into the female genital tract. Okay, so what happens in coitus interruptus? The male, it will withdraw the penis just before the ejaculation. Okay, and this will avoid the insemination. And if there is no insemination, there is no transfer of the sperm, then pregnancy can be prevented. The next is lactational amenorrhea. This is known as absence of the menstruation. So what happens during the lactation period? Okay, which is after the parturition. What is parturition? We already know this term. It's a term given to the childbirth, the delivery of the baby. This is known as parturition. So after parturition, the female they undergo lactation, means there is a production of the milk, and during this lactation, there is the absence of the menstruation. So there is absence of menstruation. So there is no ovulation. There is no release of the egg. So if there is no release of the egg, there will be no fertilization. Clear? So this is what happened during the lactational amenorrhea. So as long as the this mother is feeding the baby, as long as the mother is producing milk. So what happens during this period? There is no menstruation and there will be no ovulation, and the pregnancy or conceiving by the female individual can be avoided. Now, therefore, as long as the mother breastfeeds the child fully, chances of conception are almost nil. However, this method has been reported to be effective only up to a maximum period of 6 months following the parturition. Okay, so the pregnancy can be prevented up to a maximum period of 6 months following the parturition. Now, so these were the natural methods of preventing the pregnancy or to prevent the birth control. So as no medicines or devices are used in these methods, side effects are almost nil. Now, chances of failure, though, of this method are very high. Okay. Now, next one is the barrier method. What are these barrier methods? So here the ovum and the sperms are prevented from physically meeting with the help of the barriers. So these barriers, what they do? These barriers, they prevent the physical meeting of the male and the female gamete. So how the physical meeting of the male and the female gamete is prevented? So they are prevented by the use of condoms. So such methods are available for both male and the female. So male condoms are also available and female condoms are also available. Okay. So here you can see in this figure, this is the condom for male, this is the condom for the female. Now the condoms, these are the barriers which are made up of thin rubber or the latex sheath that are used to cover the penis in the male or vagina and cervix in the female. Okay. So these condoms are used just before the coitus, which is known as the sexual intercourse, so that the ejaculated semen could not enter into the female reproductive tract. So it acts as a barrier and it prevents the physical meeting of the ovum and the sperm. Clear? These condoms are available for both male and the female condoms are also reusable. Clear? So this can obviously prevent the conception because there will be no fertilization. One popular brand known as Nirod, which is the popular brand for condoms for the males. Use of condoms has increased in recent years due to its additional benefits of protecting the user from contracting sexually transmitted infections, okay, such as AIDS. So, okay, one function of these condoms is to prevent the pregnancy, prevent the conception, but they are also used, okay, and they are getting popular because they also have additional benefit of preventing the user or protecting the user from sexually transmitted diseases. So these sexually transmitted diseases such as AIDS, they can be spread during the or through the sexual intercourse. Okay, so here there is a barrier. So the condoms acts as a barrier. Okay, and this also prevents the transfer of the sexually transmitted diseases. Now, both the male and the female condoms are disposable. They can be self-inserted, so they are user-friendly. Okay, so the help of other individuals are not required, so they give privacy to the user. Clear? And they can be easily disposed of. Now, diaphragms, cervical caps, and vaults, they are also various methods which are made up of the rubber that are inserted into the female reproductive tract to cover the cervix during the coitus. Now, they prevent conception by blocking the entry of the sperm through the cervix. So this diaphragm, cervical caps and vaults, these are also a kind of barriers that are made up of the rubber. Okay, and they are inserted where? They are inserted into the female reproductive tract to cover the cervix. So if the cervix is covered, then the sperm cannot enter the cervix. Okay, and then it won't reach the fallopian tube where the fertilization takes place. So they prevent conception by blocking the entry of the sperm through the cervix. They are reusable. What is the good thing about that? These barriers methods, these are reusable. Now spermicidal creams, jellies and foams are also used along with these barriers to increase their contraceptive efficiency. So along with these barriers, some creams, jellies and foams are also available that have spermicidal activity. What is spermicidal activity? Okay, so through this activity, the sperms are killed. So killing sperms, this is known as spermicidal activity. So these are also used along with these barriers, these condoms, and this increase this contraceptive efficiency. Now, another effective and popular method is the use of the intrauterine devices known as IUDs. So these devices are inserted by the doctors or expert nurses in the uterus through the vagina. And there are three kind of intrauterine devices. And why they are called intrauterine devices? Because they are inserted into the uterus of the female. Okay, and the specialized doctors and the experts, they do this procedure of inserting these IUDs into the uterus. Now, these intrauterine devices, these are presently available as non-medicated intrauterine devices such as Lipase loop. So this is the first kind of IUD. Then you have copper releasing IUDs known as copper T, copper 7 and multilode 375. And the hormone releasing IUDs are also present known as progesterate and LNG20. So in this figure, you can see this is the copper T, so it is T-shaped. So it can easily fit into the uterus. Okay, and it is copper releasing IUD. Copper releasing IUD, what are these? So they release the copper into the uterus, and copper, what is the role of copper? Is toxic to the sperms. They reduce the mobility of the sperms, and they also reduce the fertilization capacity of the sperms. Clear? So there are three types of intrauterine devices: non-medicated IUDs, copper releasing IUDs, and hormone releasing IUDs. So what are these hormone releasing IUDs? Examples I've given: progesterate and LNG20. So what does these contain? They consist of the hormones. So they consist of either the progesterone or the combination of estrogen and progesterone. So this progesterate, this consists of a synthetic progesterone known as progesterone. It consists of progestin, and progestin, this is a synthetic progesterone. Okay, so what does this hormone releasing IUDs do? So how they prevent the pregnancy? So you can write how hormonal IUDs, mean hormone releasing IUDs, control the birth. First, they increase the thickness of the cervical mucus. They increase the thickness of cervical mucus. So if the thickness of the cervical mucus is increased, then the sperm won't be able to enter. Okay, into the you can say uterus, and it won't be able to fertilize the ovum. Okay, then second one, it inhibits the ovulation. What is ovulation? Release of the ovum. So inhibits ovulation. If there is no ovulation, there is no release of ovum, then no fertilization will take place. So these hormones, progesterone, what they do, progesterone and estrogen. This, if the level of the progesterone and estrogens is very high, then they will suppress the release of the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. And luteinizing hormone, this is involved in the ovulation. Clear? And follicle stimulating hormone, this is involved in the development of the follicles. So this will inhibit the ovulation, and what it will do, it will alter the uterine wall. It will alter the uterine wall, okay, so that no implantation can take place. So implantation is avoided. No implantation occurs. Okay. So what happens? The uterine thickness should be maintained, and this thickness should be maintained for the implantation. Clear? So the uterine wall, which is known as the endometrium, this becomes very thin. So if the uterine is very thin, then the implantation cannot take place. So it alters the uterine wall. Okay, you can say it alters the uterine wall so as to prevent the implantation. So this is how these hormone releasing IUDs work. Okay, or the oral contraceptives also. So these also contain the hormones. So wherever the hormones are involved, they will prevent the pregnancy through these three, okay, you can say processes. Clear? Now next one, the IUDs increase the phagocytosis of the sperms also. So what happens during phagocytosis? Okay, during the phagocytosis, these cells are engulfed. So IUDs, they increase the phagocytosis of the sperms within the uterus, and the copper ions that are released. So they were copper releasing IUDs also. So these copper ions, they will suppress the sperm motility and the fertilizing capacity of the sperm. So this is how the copper releasing IUDs work. Okay. Now the hormone releasing IUDs in addition make the uterus unsuitable for the implantation because they alter the uterine wall. Okay, and they also make the cervix hostile to the sperms. So you can say they alter the uterine wall. Okay, means they alter the endometrium, and they also make the cervix hostile. So they will increase the thickness of the cervical mucus and prevent the entry of the sperms. Now, IUDs are ideal contraceptives for the female who want to delay the pregnancy or who want to keep the gap between the children's. So this is very important for the family planning. Family planning can be done by using these contraceptives. Clear? And a proper gap. So gap should also be maintained between the children's. Okay, this is very very important for the health of the baby, newborn baby, and also for the maintaining the health of the mother. Now, it is one of the most widely accepted methods of contraception in India. Now, next one is the oral administration of small doses of either progesterone or progesterone estrogen combination is another contraceptive method used by the females. So these oral contraceptive, these consist of the hormones. So either they consist of only progesterone or they consist of progesterone estrogen combinations. So again, these contraceptives also, these oral contraceptives, these also prevent pregnancy or these also prevent conception by altering the uterine wall, okay, and by thickening the cervical mucus. Clear? And this will prevent the entry of the sperm. Clear? Now they are also used in the form of tablets also and are popularly known as the pills. So these are known as pills. So these pills, they consist of these hormones. So either progesterone, or they consist of the combination of progesterone and the estrogen. All right. Now these pills, they have to be taken daily for the period of 21 days. So these hormonal pills, these have to be taken regularly for 21 days, starting preferably within the first 5 days of the menstrual cycle. Clear? Then later on, a gap of 7 days should be given, and this gap should be given during which the menstruation occur, means during the period of bleeding. Okay, so a gap of 7 days should be given, okay, during which the menstruation occurs, and it has to be repeated in the same pattern till the female desires to prevent the conception. So these type of pills, this has to be taken regularly. Okay, so they have to be taken daily for the period of 21 days. Then a gap of 7 days is given. Then it has to be repeated again in the same pattern to prevent the pregnancy. So what these pills do? So obviously they will inhibit the ovulation, means the release of the ovum. They will inhibit the implantation by altering the uterine wall. Okay, so they inhibit ovulation, implantation, as well as alter the quality of the cervical mucus to prevent or retard the entry of the sperms. So these pills are very effective with lesser side effects and are very well accepted by the females. So both of these hormones, estrogen and progesterone, these are steroid hormones. Okay, so they have little side effects. Now, a new oral contraceptive known as SATHEE-MED. So this has been developed for the females, and these consist of non-steroidal preparations. So this, okay, have non-steroidal preparations. So this will have very less side effects. Now it is a once a week pill with very few side effects and higher contraceptive value. So this is very efficient in preventing the conception or preventing the pregnancy, and this has to be taken once in a week. Now progesterone alone or in combination with estrogen can also be used by the females as injections or implants under the skin. So in this figure you can see these are the implants, and these implants, they keep on secreting these hormones in very less quantity. Clear? And the females, they can also take injections of these hormones. So either they can take injections of the progesterone, or they can take the combination of the progesterone and the estrogen. So again, these hormones, they will alter the uterine wall, they will prevent the implantation, they will prevent the ovulation, okay, and they will also prevent the entry of the sperms by altering the cervical mucus. Clear? Now, their mode of action is similar to that of the pills, and their effective periods are much longer. So long-term inhibition of pregnancy can be achieved using these injections and the implants, as well as through IUDs. Now, administration of the progesterone or progesterone estrogen combinations or IUDs within 72 hours of the sexual intercourse have been found to be very effective as emergency contraceptives, as well as they could be used to avoid the possible pregnancy due to the rape or casual unprotected intercourse. So these contraceptives, they work within 72 hours of the coitus. So in the case of sexual abuse or sexual crimes such as rape or during the casual or unhygienic or unsafe or unprotected sexual intercourse, these contraceptives can be used and they can be taken within 72 hours to prevent the pregnancy. Now last one are the surgical methods. So these surgical methods, these are also known as sterilization. So what happens here? So these surgical methods are available for both male and the female partner. So what happens? Surgical methods, they are generally advised for the male and the female partner as a terminal method to prevent any more pregnancies. Now, surgical intervention blocks the gamete transport. So how they work? They block the gamete transport and thereby prevent the conception. Sterilization process in male, this is known as vasectomy, and in female, this is known as tubectomy. So in vasectomy, what happens? A small part of the vas deferens. So vas deferens is the part of the accessory duct. So here the small part of vas deferens, it is removed or it is tied up through a small incision on the scrotum. So here you can see in this image, this is showing you vasectomy. Here the small portion of the vas deferens is removed or it is tied, and this will prevent the gamete transport. Means it will prevent the sperm transport. Okay. Whereas what happens in the tubectomy? A small part of the fallopian tube is removed or tied up through a small incision in the abdomen or through the vagina. So here you can see this is the tubectomy. This is known as the fallopian tube. That's why the name is given tubectomy. And vasectomy is given the term because it involves the vas deferens. So what is happening in tubectomy? A part of the fallopian tube is removed or it is tied through the incision through the vagina. Now these techniques are highly effective, but their reversibility is very poor. So they are irreversible. So after tubectomy or vasectomy, there will be, you can say, almost permanent prevention of the pregnancy. So these are not reversible or they have very poor reversibility. So it needs to be emphasized that the selection of a suitable contraceptive methods and use should always be undertaken in the consultation with qualified medical professionals such as gynecologists. Okay, so they will advise you whether to go for which kind of contraceptive method. Now, one must also remember that contraceptives are not regular requirements for the maintenance of the reproductive health. They are only required to prevent the conception or the pregnancy. So, they are practiced against a natural reproductive event, that is, they are used to prevent the conception and the pregnancy. They are used for the family planning, and they are also used for preventing the undesired pregnancies. This is clear. Now, one is forced to use this method either to prevent pregnancy or to delay or space the pregnancy due to the personal reasons. And no doubt the widespread use of these methods have a significant role in checking the uncontrolled growth of the population. So, by using these contraceptive methods, the population growth rate can also be controlled. However, the possible ill effects like nausea, abdominal pain, breakthrough bleeding, irregular menstruation bleeding, or even the breast cancer, though not very significant, should not be totally ignored. So these contraceptive methods, they have a lot of side effects also. Okay, so these hormones pills, these hormones, they cause a lot of side effects such as nausea, feeling of vomiting, they cause abdominal pain, they cause this irregular menstrual bleeding. Okay, clear. And they can also cause breast cancer, although it is not very significant. Clear. So this is the end of the session. What we have studied in this lecture, we have studied about the various contraceptive methods and how they can be used to control the population, how they can be used for family planning, okay, and how they can be used for prevented unwanted pregnancies. This is clear. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture and will discuss the rest of the topics in the next lecture. Thank you very much for listening.